Well, hello there, this is Shane from Shane's Books and Review, and I hope that you are having a great day today. If not, well, here's hope it gets better. Today we're talking about The Shining because I have this little idea. We're going to go through The Shining, then Dr. Sleep, and then I'm going to watch both of the movies, and we're going to have comparisons about all of it. But today is actually just a review for The Shining, wrote by Stephen King, narrated by Campbell Scott. As far as audiobooks go, just 15 hours long. However, Campbell Scott does an incredible job with the narrations in this. Somehow or another, I thought I had read this in the past, and I had not. How does one skip reading this kind of a book? I don't know. I know that I've seen the movie umpteen times over the past 20, 30 years. Beyond that, a little bit about the book, not to give the whole kit and caboodle away. There's this young kid, I think his name was Donnie, but everybody called him Doc. His father's name was Jack. His mom, I don't really remember her name, because even though she was a primary character, she wasn't a primary character, in my opinion. She showed up every so often to kind of move the book along, but that was really it. So this kid, he's got this gift, and he's able to kind of see things that are happening around him that are different than what other people can see. He can see, quite apparently, spirits, and he knows what people are thinking. It's not that he's unintentionally picking this stuff up, unless you're really thinking loudly about something, which was demonstrated in one of the stories inside of the book. Rather, he has to really concentrate on it, and that's where this whole Tony and Red Rum and all this kind of stuff come from, was his personality that was trying to help him, that was inside of himself, or it was an outside force that was trying to help him in a dubious, maybe not healthy way. What I liked the most about the book was seeing that kid go through these situations, him trying to deal with the things that are happening around him, the interactions in between him and an actual doctor, and then also Dick. He was so very cool of a guy, and I'm glad that he was in that book because he wasn't so much comedy relief, although I did get a couple of chuckles out of some of the things that he said, but he was really the only other person that understood what Doc was going through, because he himself had a touch of what Dick refers to as the Shining, which just essentially means that they're able to see things. Imagine the advantage that that would give you. And so we're going to do the question of the week a little bit early this time. So if you had a touch of the Shining and you were able to know what people were thinking or things that were getting ready to happen, how would you treat that? The way that Dick does is whenever he's on vacation in Florida, he'll go bet on the horses, and sometimes he wins, sometimes he doesn't, because it's not set in stone. Myself, I think that if I had that ability to know what other people were thinking around me, I think it would probably not be a good thing for me. I think it would actually be rather detrimental to my personality, my assuredness, all of that. I think it would actually be a setback for me instead of the other way around, because I do have a strong gut whenever it comes to, well, yeah, I do have a strong gut before you say it, but whenever it comes to knowing the situation that I'm in and figuring out what I need to do, it's just because of the work that I do. It keeps me in that kind of a shape, physically and mentally. So that's the question of the week. What do you think would happen with The Shining if you had it? How would that affect you? Moving on, some of the story points in there, of course, is the hotel kind of has its own entity because of all the creatures that are living inside of it that are otherworldly, that just aren't seen by average people. These could be things like bad experiences or bad things that happened to people while they were there. And then there's also the actual monster type things that are living in there, either be it because the person was affected by it and then they themselves became a monster or whatnot. We have this big story that involves Jack for the primary portion of him trying to fight the dichotomy or the duality of himself whenever it comes to he's a recovering alcoholic, he's a writer that's not really been doing that great on the writing so much lately, and he's dealing with feelings of regret and remorse over something that he did whenever he was drinking to his son and to another kid, and that was the reason why he was jobless at that point, and trying to get his crap together but not really doing a good job of it. He's just an average Joe just trying to get to XYZ point, and takes on this job because he of course needs it after losing the other job because of having a temper problem while he was drinking and some kid doing something silly. Now, to be absolutely front facing about it, what I'm saying is what he did was wrong, but I think that if he was a little bit more adjusted, it wouldn't have happened, and then this whole situation would have been avoided. We wouldn't have had a book. Yay! But that's the magic of writing, isn't it? So Stephen King takes him through these sorts of demons of himself that he has to deal with while he's in the hotel. hotel. Plus there's this whole boiler situation. If the boiler isn't maintained and dumped on a daily basis, then it eventually will explode. And so he's constantly having to fight with this boiler. He's having to fight with the upkeep of the hotel and the demons that are within himself, and then the actual demons in the hotel that are trying to convince him that he needs to kill his family. These things, whenever it comes to the demons in the hotel, taking him to different places or different times or fantasy places inside of his own mind whenever he's in the basement for this big party that's happening at midnight. You know, it's a big masquerade, so they're all going to take their mask off. And there's all this stuff like that, all these details that in today's writing is just really not something that's there. Either people really miss the mark with the detail and give you so much of stuff about details that don't matter. Sure, it fills the pages of the book, but it's not tangible. It's not something that has anything to do with the actual storyline, where this, all the detail that's given is directly related to the story, like the wasp. The idea of the wasp coming through the entire story, they show up several times during the story. And once is whenever everything is still kind of hopeful. Jack and his wife is getting their relationship back together. They're putting the pieces together. The talks and ideas about divorce are starting to slide away. Then the wasps show up and ow, bad things happen. These direct correlations throughout the book that happen multiple times to reinforce the idea and give you a different detail set on this or a different perspective on it each time. But each one of those detail sets or perspectives actually tie into the main story in a way that is indeed enriching. So that's one of the reasons why I hate to say it, but I mostly these days whenever I read Stephen King's story, I'm like, I trash, but it's not because I don't respect the guy. I honest to God do. Anyway, going back to the story of The Shining, wow, it's got so much good writing in it that it's really hard to go through it all. So to recap, the story about Dick and the backstories of Dick throughout the book is really good and enjoyable, and it shows his personality type. And then of course Doc, seeing how he goes through everything and how whenever things are said and done, how he comes through and how he just tries to continue. That's awesome. I'm really glad that it was wrote in the way that it was, because it doesn't necessarily leave the book wide open where there's all these unanswered questions, although there's a couple, but not too many because of the way that it all comes together at the end. But rather it leaves it open for a sequel because Doc is still there and Dick is still there, thankfully. Anyway, so the long of it all is it worth your time, efforts, and energies? If you've never read this particular Stephen King book before, give it a good thought, because it's well done. It's a good book. So I hate to say it this time of the year already, but that's going to be on one of the top shelves for sure for the year. But we'll see if continuation, Dr. Sleep, if that book has any kind of anything that's redeemable. And I'm hoping that it does, because, I mean, let's face it, The Outsider, that was, we'll see what happens with Dr. Sleep. Thank you so much if you're watching at this point. If you are stellar. You are the one that has saved the kitten from the tree. Yes, I'm referencing my Patreon stuff. But in all seriousness, if you have made it this far, I appreciate that so much. Like, share, subscribe. This is Shane from Shane's Books and Review. And unlike last week where I didn't put the end screens on and I'm just pointing off to the edge of your screen, be it your phone or monitor or TV or laptop or other electronic device, this time we're going to do it proper. So, which video are you going to choose? Is it going to be this one or is it going to be this one? I don't know. But we'll see. Either one. It doesn't matter, because I will see you in the next video.